Hello, everyone. This is Anthony Crane with Pocket Coach, and today we are going to talk about the pain point experiment. And let me start my 5-minute timer. As always, we'll try to get the major point done in 5 minutes, and then if we need to, we can go beyond that for deeper stuff. Let me share my screen while that timer starts counting. Okay, so the pain point experiment I have documented here on the left. It basically, the problem we're trying to solve here is that there's no one person who understands all the problems that a team is facing, all the problems in the flow. And so we need a technique in order to find out what really is going on. Value stream mapping, for example, is a great technique for it, but can be tough to get the right people in the room. So the pain point experiment is something you can do anytime with any team. And also those closest to the work should always be heard. So we want to be asking the people who do the work what's in their way. Hypothesis: if we collect everyone's impediments to flow into a single list, we can prioritize the pain, and then we can design experiments to alleviate those pains. Now, one of the big mistakes my peers sometimes make is that they think the purpose of agile or safe is to learn agile or safe. That's not the purpose. It's a strategy. And we'll talk, if you look at my video on GHOST framework, we'll talk more about strategy. In the meantime, just understand this: the going agile or adopting safe or any other process is trying to improve something important. If we don't understand what that thing is we're trying to improve, then it becomes very difficult to focus on any experiment, because you're like, why am I doing this? I'm just doing it because someone told me to. Much more exciting when you're doing it in order to remove a pain. Okay, so that's hypothesis. Time frame: this is a 4-hour experiment. After 2 hours, you should say, hey, is this getting us where we need to go? You don't have to do it all at once, by the way. You can break it up. Typical outcomes: if you do this, we should see a much higher quality items in our value delivery acceleration or our relentless improvement backlog. And we should see our KPIs get better as well for our team. So improved experiment design and improved KPIs because of those experiments. Skill growth criteria. So how do you know you've earned the skill here? You've created a list of pain points. You have used one or more prioritization techniques to prioritize them: Pareto, PACE, or pairwise, dot voting. And then you've crafted improvement experiments and added them to your backlog. So as soon as you have experiments on the backlog because of this, you've pretty much earned this particular skill. Okay, so let's go over here. I've written up some details on this, right, just to help guide you. Again, you can take a screenshot if you need to. So the idea here is we need to ask the teams what are in their way. We can also ask their customers. We can also ask their managers, but we should also ask them about their customers and managers. And so here, there's a 3 kind of step process. First, we ask some questions, and here are the typical questions. What pains are slowing your team down? What pains do your customers have with respect to your products? What pains do your managers have with respect to your team? Right. So these are great questions to ask and see what the team comes up with. Are there anti-patterns that you know you're already doing badly? Can we just get those listed out too? And are there experiments that you were like, we've always wanted to write stories better, we just never learned how to estimate faster. We never really done it, right? Okay, so that's an experiment you already had in mind. Finally, what are the bottlenecks in the steps to flow value? So there are steps you go through. Do you know what those steps are? Do you know what your products are? Do you know what the steps are? And then do you know where the bottlenecks are? If not, then that's a whole nother experiment we can run as well. That's the value stream map. Once you have the list, you need to prioritize the pain. Now, if you have over 50 pain points, I suggest Pareto prioritization. We'll make a separate video, or maybe we'll do it after this one, on how you do Pareto prioritization. If you have over 20 pain points but less than 50, you can probably use PACE prioritization. You can Google that one. And finally, if you have less than 20 pain points, you could either do dot voting or what's called pairwise prioritization, which I happen to like if I already have a list. Finally, once you've prioritized your experiments, now you know your biggest pain and your next pain, So now you've prioritized your pain. Sorry, so experiments. Once you prioritize your pain, now we go after the top pain and start burning down. So for each pain point, you work with a coach. You design an experiment designed. It's an agile experiment. It comes from this library that of hundreds of agile techniques. You pick the best one to address that pain, and we go for it. And what's cool is now we know whether or not the experiment is working, because is the pain going away? So basically, the output of the pain points experiment is a much better list of experiments, ones that are designed to truly alleviate pain and not because the process says you're supposed to do it. So that's it. That's the pain point experiment. So for the after 5-minute mark, I will go ahead and cover Pareto prioritization, PACE prioritization, and pairwise. If you're interested in those topics, stick around. I'm going to reset my timer. Okay. And I'll hit start. I think. There we go. All right. So Pareto prioritization is really easy. All you do is make a list. So let's say you had, and I've had as many as 200 pain points because we went to multiple teams for a single large train. And so we talked to lots of people. We ended up with about 200 or so pain points. So that's a lot. So with Pareto prioritization, all you do is get an Excel spreadsheet or just get a spreadsheet and add all your pain points there and add a column, which is category. And then when you first do it, it's going to feel weird. Like, I don't know what category this is, but as you read through a couple of them, categories will start to emerge and you'll be like, oh, and sometimes like you'll be halfway done and realize, I don't like the categories we came up with. Let's adjust them now. By the time you're done though, every single one of these 200 will be in a category. When we did this, we ended up with 12 categories. The most recent time, usually around 10 is pretty typical. 10 categories, whatever, plus or minus. Now, here's the best part. You then count how many pain points you have per category and you filter that. And that is a Pareto. That'll give you, if you know how to use pivot tables, you can just auto-generate a little graph and it'll show you the category with the most amount of pain. So for us, the last time we did this, I wish I could show you the picture, but it was client proprietary, so I can't. The last time we did this, the category that was highest was communications, right? So we realized that, there's that 53 of the problems were communication problems. So round one complete. Out of 200, we now know that communications is the biggest category of difficulty. And so we're going to pursue that and bring that number down. And then maybe we'll look at the next category and the next category. So that's cool. We had all these categories ahead. And we ended up processing a bunch of the different categories over time. Okay, so now we still have 52 though. So with 52, that's still too many for pairwise prioritization or dot voting. So we did pace prioritization. And for that, I do have something I can show you. I probably should have had this up and ready. Sorry about that. Fast forward till you see this, this done. Pace prioritization. And I'm going to go to images. You can do the same. So I like this one here. Okay, so what happens with pace prioritization is you ask yourself, how beneficial would it be to alleviate that pain? Low benefit means, yeah, it's a pain, but benefit is not that great. High benefit is, man, that would be huge if we could eliminate that pain. And the second thing is, how hard would it be to eliminate that pain? Would it be easy to eliminate or would it be difficult? So check this out. Anything that's low value, low benefit and hard to do, don't bother. Anything that is high benefit and easy, those are the ones we just get, those are the ones we go after immediately. Then the ones that are out here in action, we get to those if we finish priority. And then the ones out here in consider, we may never do. Okay. So what we did was for our 50 something issues, we made 2 new columns in our spreadsheets. We already had category. Now we added ease and we added benefit, right? And what we said was, if you have a high ease and a high benefit, then those are the ones we should do first. And we gave it a 1, 2, 3, 4 scale. So 1 would be difficult or low, and 4 would be high or easy, right? And then we just multiplied it. And the highest number you get there is 16. So all the 16s and 12s, the 16s were priorities and the 12s were the ones that we took action on. Anything below a 12 was consider or eliminate. Okay. So just like that, 50 became 12. There was only 12 that ended up in the priority or action category. So we took the 12 remaining. And now if we go back to my little guideline here, you can see once you get down to less than 20, pairwise or dot voting. For dot voting, there's tons of materials on dot voting. You put things on a post-it notes and you get a certain number of dots. I'm not going to explain that because there's so many pieces of work on it. But for pairwise, since we already had a list, we already had all 12 in a list. All you do for pairwise is take the first 2 and ask which of these would be more important to solve. And you put one above the other. Then you grab the next one and say, how important would this one be to solve compared to these 2? And you put it in and you put it in. So those 16 that were super highest priority, super highest value, we ended up putting them in order from the most important to the least important of the 16 most important. And that was it. We now had our prioritized list. We pulled the first one and said, what experiments can we design? Actually, we designed experiments for the whole list of 16, but we executed the experiments in the order of top down. And of course, if you think an experiment looks like it's going to be better than the others and it's not the top one, it's fine. It's just a way to kind of organize the thinking. So there you have it. 3 different ways to prioritize your work, depending on how many pain points you find. So if you haven't done a pain points experiment, go for it and find out what the real pains are of your team and get to work designing experiments or find a coach to help you. And good luck. That's it for the pain points experiment. I hope you enjoyed this video.